We have a VTuber that I've talked about previously on my channel, and they have now been called out on Blue Sky out of all places, so let's take a look at this. All of this is about this post made on Blue Sky, posted by Blue Sky user Barg, or barghasblack.bsky.social, writing, "We've been holding our tongues in hopes that they'd stop like they said they would. Now that she's defending Gen AI the same way she tried to defend crypto, it's clear the grift isn't going to be stopping on its own." And Barg adds, "If Clover wanted to rebrand to a wholesome VTuber, I would have no issue had you left it at that. It's the fact you have a young and impressionable audience, and you're exposing them to these erroneous concepts of Gen AI and crypto simply being morally neutral. Hiding how deeply involved your partner is with an industry that heavily harms your main audience. You pretend like you know nothing to skirt criticism. It is so horribly disappointing to see from a fellow artist." I do not make callouts lightly, and I really did not want to have to post this. After the initial incident with making a model for Billy Marcus and the pushback you received, I was really hoping you two would drop this, but I guess the potential money that crypto and NFTs bring was too enticing. Also, I don't use Twitter anymore, so I'm sure there's a good chunk of her audience who never will know. I'm not going to be posting this elsewhere. I don't care if others wish to share it. Not looking for harassment towards Clover, just accountability, which seems to be so greatly lacking. I'll be adding full-size screenshots in the bottom folder of the document after work, hadn't had a chance to update yet. And just as an addendum, if you have art, rig, whatever from Clover, please don't feel like you have to stop using it or enjoying it. I do believe that Clover draws her own art, and I don't think any of her clients could have known about these connections. It's all very easy to miss. And I'm not going to tell anyone they have to stop supporting or following Clover. While these are things that are clearly against my personal ethics, I'm not your mom. Clover is certainly talented, just a shame it's wasted on being attached to these grifts." And attached is a Google Doc. So this is the Google Doc in question, titled "Moo Clover and Gunny Gopher Beware." It reads, "This document is simply for accountability and as a beware towards those wishing to not associate with crypto and the like. Not looking for Clover to be ousted from the space, only for a major change of behavior from both her and her husband, and to stop lying to her audience about these connections, nor the erroneous perception that she's simply ignorant to all of this, so she cannot take fault." This is a post that Clover made a while back, and the post reads, "I reckon this Doge is going to the moon. New model for Dogecoin man himself. Incredibly grateful for the opportunity to experiment with pixel art style modeling, especially for somebody as kind and chill as Billy." So, if you guys don't know who Billy is, or Billy Marcus, Billy is the creator of Dogecoin. And if you don't know what Dogecoin is, it is a crypto coin, okay? This whole situation of Clover making the VTuber model for Billy, the founder, the creator of Dogecoin, sparked a huge debate on Twitter where people were debating the ethics of this and whether, it's okay to do that, whatever. It is a very gray area, and I'm curious about your thoughts. Is the artist tied to the client they're making art for? Does the artist making art for the client in turn show some sort of reciprocity between the views of the client and the views of the artist? They're two separate people, but some people may see it as an endorsement. I'd love to hear your thoughts. The document continues, "Suspicion of Clover's connections with crypto were flagged when she posted a showcase for Billy Marcus March 6, 2025, one of the creators of Dogecoin. He is still heavily involved in the crypto sphere. Elon Musk also seems to be in contact with him, despite it appearing he's attempting to distance himself by deleting posts." And here, Billy makes a post writing, "Okay, I'm officially unemployed, help." And Elon says, "Wanna work at Doge? Would be kind of perfect." And Billy says, "That would be pretty full circle. I want to chill for a while so I can accomplish some of my personal goals, but we'll see where I'm at in like 6 months, haha." And the doc reads, "Original screenshot not from me." Then you can see Billy's posts have been deleted, but Elon's reply is still there. Then the doc continues, "When the showcase was also posted on Blue Sky, it quickly got flack and Clover removed it." And Clover on Blue Sky writes, "Deleted the post. I wanted to show my work here, but it's clear this is not the audience for it." And then they note that this post on Blue Sky has been deleted. And then here is a tweet Clover put out about the model, writing, "Yes and no. He created the code behind Dogecoin and then sold it in 2015. And he's well into trading and buying into cryptocurrency. But this model is not an NFT if that's what you're saying. And he'll be using the model to stream both gaming and info on crypto." And so the doc reads, "Aware that this model would be used for crypto shilling." So here's some Blue Sky comments from Clover. Clover writes, "It was a mistake. I met Billy in person when I made the verbal agreement to make the model. I didn't realize how deep it went. I pay for Twitter Blue because I want to post longer videos for my showcases. My, quote, 'this isn't the audience,' end quote post was an emotional response to hateful comments and threats." Then another reply, "I'm not lying. Just because he has dabbled in crypto doesn't mean I knew what it was. I don't know every detail of my husband's hobbies, just as he doesn't know every detail of mine. I thought it was just like stocks or currency exchange before now." And the doc reads, "What led to us digging deeper is the mention that she had met Billy Marcus in person, of all places, and the mentioning of her husband dabbling in crypto. I do believe Clover doesn't know as deeply about crypto as her husband does, but she is severely minimizing his connections. Evidence of Gunny Gopher being Clover's partner and husband. After the mention of meeting Billy in person, the most likely way they would have met would have been at a convention, tournament, etc. Billy and Clover had both been in Vegas towards the end of February, and Clover mentioned that she was just there to cheer on her husband. Avalanche, a blockchain platform, posts about a Vegas tournament for Off the Grid, a Web3 integrated game that features an NFT trading system where Billy and two other people would be on a team together, Public Sorrow and Gunny Gopher. Notable in the stream was a little chibi Gopher VTuber that was of a recognizable style. So here we have a bunch of posts, and this is a post Clover posted to their Twitter page writing, "Off to Vegas, see y'all in a few days." And this is of Clover at an airport, and you can see they're on the second floor, kind of overlooking what looks to be like the check-in area of the airport. And then on the same day, an hour later, Clover posts, "I'm here to people watch and cheer on my husband mostly, haha. Ain't never been much for gambling. Probably test my luck on a few penny slots and call it a day, lol." Then the day before, this is February 26th, Avalanche posts, "Last stream for Public Sorrow, Gunny Gopher, and Billy M2K, who is Billy Marcus, before heading to Vegas for the At Play Off the Grid tournament and at the Parallel Championship. Think they got a shot at winning it all." And then as you can see here, there's a little Gopher VTuber, right, with a hat and what looks to be a red bandana. And Avalanche, and this is a screenshot of their Twitter page, it reads, "Avalanche is a high-performance blockchain platform designed for builders who need to scale." And then we have some more connections here. So Clover on February 15th posted, "This is the closest I'm ever gonna get to making Honka Badonka's gremlin model for Gunny Gopher." And it's the same gopher with the little hat and the red bandana. Then here we have a post made by Gunny Gopher also on February 27th, the same day Clover made their airport post, writing, "First stop, pretty airport." And as you can see, it's literally like the same spot, right? Where, Clover was standing in front of the flag, so you couldn't see it, but the angle, everything, this is the exact same like airport check-in area that Clover was standing in front of. So they could be dating. They could also be standing in the same spot, and I'll provide more information about this later. The doc continues, "He has a model by Clover and took a selfie at the same spot and airport as her. Clover is also a mod for him, and almost all he streams is Off the Grid to an audience of only crypto bros and Clover." So here it's kind of like a screenshot of his Twitch page, and then here it's a little small, but you can see Moo Clover is in the chat. Off the Grid is currently in early access like most crypto games. And Gunny often encourages people to buy the most expensive exclusive items now because when the game goes live on the main net, they'll make a lot of money. Drive with clips because I don't know how to embed videos in here. He'll claim in some streams that he simply enjoys the game, but then drops hints like the clips above where he intends to make money from its NFT marketplace. Also, because Gunny seems to be a dumbass, he dropped his and Clover's previous streamer identities on stream when he brought up Fiverr on stream, which showed their emails. Also showed selfies from their Vegas trip confirming they are indeed these past individuals, corroborated by individuals who have met them. Clover is past VTuber and Gunny is another past alien. I'm going to choose to redact their previous aliases because I'm not a VTuber, but from my understanding, a VTuber past life in VTuber culture is typically not brought up, so I feel like that's the respectful thing to do, but I'm not sure. I'm just playing it safe here. Especially because Gopher's past alias does look to be also doxing his name. The doc continues, "Miscellaneous defense of crypto despite, quote, not knowing anything about it," end quote. Clover tweeted, "As I'm reading more about it, I actually see a lot we could benefit from crypto. It just needs more direction and less pollution. In all meanings of the word, to be reliable and less intimidating to the average person, I think. It's a very strange and tricky subject for sure. Maybe I'm too optimistic though, I don't know." And here are some more posts. This is on Blue Sky where Clover writes, "Yeah, I understand that too. The vast majority of pushback I personally received was less about it being Dogecoin and more that it was crypto in general. It has a severe lack of regulation, making it highly susceptible to scams. There's also the major concern on its environmental impact, which on the note of the environment, Ethereum's proof of stake method lowered the impact by 99.99% and I feel should be the standard placed upon all crypto. There's also political impact and its use in lobbying for and against American political figures. In general, higher regulations and standards need to be put in place before folks can feel any type of ease when it comes to crypto, which is valid and fair. After taking in all the key points of the subject, I definitely understand and agree with the strong need for change in the crypto sphere." So the doc continues, "Gunny using generative AI despite Clover being against it, at least in her TOS." So here, this looks to be Gunny's profile photo, which is AI. And here, Gunny has a tweet writing, "Can I commission somebody for chibi or sprite art? I can't seem to find an artist that can do stuff like this. This is an AI image, but I want art like this so I can hire artists for VTuber models." And they attach two chibi Jack Gophers. And they have another post writing, "Can anyone do art like this? This is AI, but I want art. All of the artists that reached out didn't have any chibi art or furry stuff done. I'm very new to the VTuber scene, so I'm not sure what to ask. Adding my 2 cents about this real quick, maybe Gunny is just very, very uninvolved with the art space in general and just never talks to Clover about art, but I would hope that if you are the partner of somebody who is an artist, that you wouldn't support Gen AI. And I get it, you don't know what you don't know, so some people just don't know how harmful Gen AI is and the theft that it involves, etc. The environmental impacts. Using a personal example, my boyfriend did not know, and then me as an artist educated him, and now he knows, and now he won't support it. So I would hope that would be the case as well. But again, I don't know the insides of their relationship. So the doc continues. First tweet was a retweet of Clover, Gunny claiming to be new to the internet despite being deeply into crypto. So the first post, September 14th, was retweeting Clover's post about their path to affiliate achievement. I made a video about Clover's rapid rise to success because from me looking in, it looked like a VTuber was making videos and they were getting a lot of hate on the internet at that time, and I felt bad for them. Gunny continues, this is my first tweet. Looking for others to be mutuals with. I'm a gopher who has lived on a farm my whole life. I'm new to the internet. So here, gopher actively states they're new. As of March 12, 2025, Gunny is still interacting with crypto accounts, Billy, etc. If Clover legitimately feels they fell into a crypto scam, then truly denounce it and have Gunny drop the crypto shtick. The crypto, Gen AI, and NFT sphere has been immensely harmful for the environment and creatives, manipulating and scamming individuals, all while emboldening people like Elon Musk. Regardless if Clover and Gunny do or don't support Elon, they have no issues sharing spaces with and befriending people who very much do. The doc continues, update, April 15th, 2025. Gunny is still using Gen AI, still involved in crypto and NFTs. Clover seems to now be defending it the exact same way she was defending crypto. Just except it's here, it's neutral. We simply just need environmental and ethical standards. And Gunny has a post writing, got my Blaze allocation approved, and it is an AI generated image of a gopher with a coin. Here, Gunny's posting, getting that beach body ready for summer. ChatGPT did me wrong in this image, but it made me laugh. And it's another ChatGPT gopher, but this one's wearing a bikini. And here is Clover's post about this, also on April 15th, which is the day I'm filming. So if anything else comes out, this video was filmed the same day this all happened. Clover writes, Gen AI is everywhere. There's nowhere to go that isn't using AI to some degree at this point. Can't even Google a question without it generating an AI response. Spotify has AI, DJs, and playlists. It's in Microsoft, Amazon, Nvidia, IBM. We're all using Gen AI services, whether we like it or not. At this point, our goals should be to push for ethical and environmental standards on AI. We have to be realistic about the situation. I'm sure there's a good amount of folks that don't want to hear this, but this is the reality. Gen AI is not going anywhere. We're too far down the rabbit hole to go back. Support creatives, support the earth, push for ethical and environmental laws and standards. So this document had a lot of people feel some type of way. Throwing in my 2 cents real quick before we go into the comments and then a statement from Clover themselves. But this situation breaks down basically into kind of 3 parts. One, does somebody's partner doing something, how much does that reflect back on them? Secondly, how much is a neutral statement reflective of somebody's stance? And 3, is it disingenuous to not reveal that you've previously had content creation experience? Again, the first point is always very hotly contended. I will state that yes, you are 2 very different people. And again, I don't know how much partners converse, but I will add that it does, no matter what you would like to feel about it, there will be people that will associate your partner's actions with you. A relationship, a couple will be viewed as a unit. An example, if your partner is heavily right-winged and you hold a very leftist stance, it is very possible that obviously, because you guys are 2 different people, you have 2 different political views, but if your partner is extremely vocally on the right wing, then people will assume that because you are with them, you endorse these beliefs. Same thing as if your partner is heavily racist, right? And you have not shown any racist tendencies because you are with somebody who is very vocally racist, people will make the assumption that you support those beliefs. Now, point number 2 is a neutral statement, a statement of opinion. How should that be taken? I do think in many cases, a neutral statement can show that you're very neutral on the grounds of this hotly debated topic, etc. But I will state that there are many cases where you just simply can't make a neutral statement because making a neutral statement is still taking a side in many cases. Using an example of hypothetically, do trans lives matter? You can't really take a neutral statement on that. It's either you support trans lives or you don't. Being middle of the ground, oh, like, I don't know, me. Some situations are basically a yes and a no, and there's obviously some nuance in there, but making a neutral statement in cases like that is still making a statement. And then the final thing, is it disingenuous to not reveal that you had a past experience in content creation? I previously mentioned with VTubers and the whole thing about VTuber past lives, it is pretty commonplace for VTubers to not reveal their past life. The fans of the VTuber's previous life know that they should not be bringing it up, they shouldn't be name dropping their previous life, etc. So I do understand that, hey, you've completely rebranded, you have completely dropped and distanced yourself from your previous identity. I understand that. I do think that it is disingenuous because the way that I interpreted it, which you will see if you've seen my previous video about Clover, I thought Clover was new and that somebody that just did a fuck ton of research in content creation. I am an optimist. I just like to give benefit of doubt until you give me a reason to assume otherwise. And now that I know that Clover has had a past life, while I can completely understand you not wanting to reference that or like allude to it in any way, I do think that you have to recognize if you were in a situation, which is what happened with Clover, where you blew up really quickly, people were like, oh, how did you blow up very quickly? And you made no mention of a previous experience of content creating. And you were like, yeah, I'm new and I watched videos. You know what impression you give off, right? Like, you have to know. And you give off the impression you're a brand new streamer that struck gold, right? And you grew. In my opinion, there could have just been a better way to do it. You could have alluded to, oh, I've had some experience in social media in the past without explicitly mentioning, yeah, I was a VTuber that went by this name and I streamed for this many years. You don't have to reveal that much information, but be honest, you know? I personally feel that it was a lie of omission to not mention the previous life in some vague regard. Now let's take a look at some of the comments. So Izzy writes, had absolutely no clue this was going on. Thank you so much for sharing this, Barg. There is no excuse for AI, period. And Barg says, I honestly don't take joy in sharing this, and I was really hoping they were going to cut it out the first time after the Doge model. It's so disappointing. And Izzy says, for sure. While it's not great to hear changes haven't been made in their views, that makes it even more important to share with the community. You're doing the right thing by letting people know. Miss Jackie writes, this space would be so much better if we stopped letting people do whatever they want just because, ooh, pretty models. It sucks so much seeing platforms being held for people like this. Buncha writes, lying about being brand new to the internet has been frustrating on its own, but the never-ending hit dog hollering drives me insane. Clover lying to her audience about how Gunny is just a whittle girl man who only dabbled in crypto, meanwhile it's seemingly everything to him. Effing awful. And Ray writes, it's disgusting watching somebody play the quote, I didn't know I'm innocent card. Meanwhile, their partner actively participates in shit that harms not only artists, but VTubers alike. Smells like cow shit in here. Clover actually DM'd me, offering their side of the story, so obviously, I want to hear their side. Basically, I asked them 3 questions. First up, I asked them how much they knew about their husband's crypto involvement, because I told them straight up that they make it sound like they didn't know much about it because it was his hobby, but that I didn't believe it. Because Clover disclosed that they've been married for a very long time, so they confirmed that yes, this is their husband. And I'm gonna use my personal experience for a sec, okay? Some of you guys don't like that, but again, my boyfriend plays professional League of Legends. I am friends with the partners of other players, okay? And a lot of them don't play the game, but they still know very, very in-depth what's happening just from being around their partner. So I just didn't believe that you could be with them for that long and have literally no idea what they're doing. Could be possible. It's happened. Some partners for a very long time don't know that their partner, I don't know, has been blowing $10,000 a month on, I don't know, gambling, right? But I personally feel if you've met your partner's friends who are creating crypto and you have enough conversation to agree to work with your partner's friends who create crypto, and you went to an event where your partner is competing in a game that involves crypto, you have to know. Like, there's no way you don't know. In terms of the first question I asked, Clover responded stating that regarding their husband and crypto, that they knew it to be with gaming like OTG, which was mentioned in the documents, that Clover knew their partner was into stocks and they assumed crypto was just a different form of stock, which I remember Clover, I think, tweeting something along those lines as well. Then Clover adds that with the currency aspect, it was after making the model for Billy, which was after the tournament, that Clover took time to learn more about what crypto was and its impacts due to community outrage. That their partner has only been into crypto since he began looking into the game, and that it was clear their opinions were very different. Her partner agreed that the environmental impacts were more than he realized, and he chose to only be around industries that work with proof of stake crypto rather than proof of work crypto. By the way, I'm gonna be honest, guys, I don't know crap about crypto. I have no idea what that means. He does not actively trade crypto, but uses the test net that is the game OTG and is an active member of the Avalanche community. And then Clover adds that they weren't willing to sacrifice their lengthy relationship of love and marriage over a differing opinion about crypto and AI. And for that one, I'm just curious about your thoughts at the end of the day. Like, if you were in a situation like this where you disagreed with your partner in the views of crypto and AI, would you choose to stay with them? And again, every relationship is different. So if you would choose to leave, right, I can also see why maybe, right, you would stay with your partner, even if you do have some disagreeing views. It's kind of like, is this the hill you will die on? And then, secondly, I asked Clover their stance on Gen AI because I saw their tweet and that I told them it seems like a very neutral sentiment of like that comes off as they're accepting Gen AI. Then Clover states that their tweet about Gen AI was less about accepting it, but more of how we can fight against it. That stating something shouldn't exist doesn't make it so. That there should be laws and standards to ethically guide that path. And if there are laws to force companies to be ethical and environmental friendly, then the cost to run frivolous AI like Gen AI that generates artwork would be too high, and therefore companies wouldn't be profitable. And it seems like they feel like it could be obsolete due to companies being very profit oriented. And they write, if we attack it with a clear and achievable goal in mind, I believe we can shift the focus on how corporations choose to use this technology. The hope being that tech goes to help save lives, not take jobs or replace creativity. You can look at this statement made by Clover in two ways. You can either look at it as they are walking the middle of the line, but they're kind of like secretly supporting Gen AI with their stance. You could also look at it as they're being way too optimistic about companies. And so therefore they're optimistically hoping that with changes in policies that we could regulate this. And again, as much as I would hope that this is the case, we know historically that technology advances way faster than legislation will. So I'm normally a pretty optimistic person, but when it comes to companies, corporations, and the government, I'm very pessimistic. I have no faith in them, like at all. I personally feel that if it comes to profits or ethics, a company will always prioritize profit. And there would never be a situation where Gen AI as it is will get outlawed, in my personal opinion. And then I asked them, third, there was that post about the stream stat, and they mentioned that they're a new streamer, and that many people felt it was disingenuous for them to omit the fact that they had a past life as a different identity. So then on that one, Clover adds that when they wrote about being a new streamer, they didn't want roots tied back to their previous account. They were dealing with a lot of personal things on that account, and they wanted a fresh start. And they were worried that if they mentioned they had a previous experience in streaming, that people would realize who their past identity was. That they should have mentioned they had knowledge, but they were scared of people piecing together the old accounts and thinking the behavior that Clover allowed on the previous account would be allowed on this new Clover account. That the previous account was a persona they were struggling to maintain, that they weren't happy with this persona and they wanted to be free from it. They told nobody about their rebrand, created new accounts that were not tied to their previous accounts, and made sure to never mention anything from the previous account. Also, they seem to have like a feeling that people are discrediting their growth as Clover into piggybacking off of the growth they had as the previous creator. And they felt that their growth as Clover was completely organic and nothing about their past account has influenced the rapid growth they experienced as Clover. But they admit that they should have been more honest. So again, regarding this entire situation, I'm just curious about what you guys think about all of the points that I've previously mentioned when covering it. Again, with the situation, you can look at it in two ways. Give Clover the benefit of doubt because they are a separate entity from their partner and maybe they just truly were very uninvolved in whatever their partner was cooking up. In my personal opinion, I'm not super sure how I would feel about that due to them going to the tournaments and being in their partner's streams. Maybe they just literally weren't paying attention to what their partner was saying, etc. But in my opinion, you had to know something because I would understand if you knew nothing, if you never were in your partner streams, you never went to any tournaments, you literally were uninvolved whatsoever. But you met the friends, you were there, you had to have figured something out. But again, could be possible. And then again, with the second situation about the neutral stances they were taking on crypto and Gen AI, you can see the neutral stance as them truly just optimistically hoping for change or them not wanting to take a firm stance because the public wouldn't like that stance. And finally, with the hidden identity, you could look at it with the benefit of doubt, like they genuinely were just worried that people would find their previous identity and they wanted to wash their hands clean, or that it was a malicious attempt at kind of deceiving people into thinking their success had nothing to do with knowledge they've gained prior from their channel. I personally do not think that they've utilized their previous VTuber in any way to grow this Clover account. They went viral really early on into their situation that was following them. So I never saw anything involving a previous identity whatsoever. I don't think that part was true. But again, whether you thought they were purposely withholding the information, a lie of omission, maliciously, or just out of fear. Curious about your thoughts. Again, please don't send hate to any parties involved. That is not what this is about here. This is just kind of a conversation starter piece because it has been something that's been hotly debated in the VTuber sphere, mainly today, because that's when it happened about this whole situation. And it has been debated prior already with when Clover made the model. So would love to hear your thoughts. I'm rambling too long right now, so I'm gonna wrap this all up. I hope you guys liked the video. If you do, I appreciate it if you like and subscribe. In a previous video I made, y'all said that you guys didn't really like it when I interjected too much with my own personal experience. So I'm trying to like remove more of that, I guess, out of the videos. I will reference it if it is like truly relevant to what I'm talking about, but I'll try to talk less about my personal experience and keep it more concise and objective. So hopefully you guys like that. But yeah, I also have a VGen now, so check me out on VGen. And I also have a coffee where I have free resources for streamers and content creators, and I also stream on Twitch 3 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, Saturdays at 6 p.m. PST. So I hope to catch you guys all over there or in another one of my videos.